And we are in record mode. All right. So want to welcome everybody on YouTube and Facebook world to our 10th installment of Wealth Through Wholesaling. This evening, the triad, we have an opportunity, actually a pleasure of going to the West Coast, West Side, and bringing on a brother by the name of Sonny. How do I pronounce your last name, brother?
McEwen.
McEwen. And we want to kind of get an opportunity to welcome him New York style and, spend another 30, 40 minutes just trying to learn your story. And so let me just kind of tell you about our audience, and then I'll have Kivo hit you up with the first question.
Okay.
So we started this podcast really as a way of keeping up with some of the requests that we were having from people in our market about helping them get their first deal.
Okay.
And the truth of the matter is, even though we had a little bit of a social media presence, we were figuring this thing out as we went.
Okay.
And we've always talked about failing forward. So as opposed to having us trying to be the deal, we were humble enough to say, well, let us put some other people together in an interview who are, by the virtue of a newbie, the deal.
Yeah.
So what we try to do is present, real estate investing, specifically wholesaling, from the context of a newbie. What is helpful for a new person getting into this industry to help them see that first deal, like Max Maxwell says.
Yeah.
So without further ado, I'm gonna kick question number one over to my brother, my little brother, Mr. Kivo Owens.
How you doing, son?
What's going on, Kiva?
Get these headphones in so you can hear me a little better. Again, we want to thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. We know time is of value out here. So we're gonna start with a softball and just basically ask, like, what got you into real estate investing initially?
Initially, I've pretty much always been interested in real estate investing. From a kid, listening to Magic Johnson here and talking about entrepreneurship and stuff like that. So
Right on.
that was always something, just seeing, I mean, especially being from LA, so seeing, Magic Johnson Theater, and he always owned real estate, TGIF Friday, Fat Burger. So just always, so it was just enlightening and encouraging for me to just see a brother out the gate from 8, 9, 10 years old, as a brother owning real estate. So it was always something I felt was possible. But getting older, reading like Rich Dad Poor Dad and stuff like that, just knowing my personality type, I'm not really the type that likes to be beholden to anyone. So I just seen in real estate, as a way to not only build but have a legacy as well.
Right, you're not in the E quadrant.
No,
Yeah,
no, I
you know what I'm
can't.
saying? Yeah,
I can't
definitely.
deal. Yeah, most
Definitely.
definitely.
Yeah, so that's deep. You've been in it since young. I mean, for me personally, it took a while to basically see, Monopoly as a real board,
Yeah,
that we're on here in life. And you were able to see that up close early on, from being from a bigger city and with Magic being out there and doing all the great things that he's done and continued to do. Out here in little Rochester, we don't really have anybody like that. So I can't say it was more difficult, but for me personally, I've seen it, later down the line. But that's deep. So just tell us, what was your first initial step into that? So you had the vision from young, but what was that first move? I mean, because you had a job. I don't know if it was at McDonald's, Wegmans, Taco Bell, but you had a job, Sonny.
yeah, well, yeah. So I was a W-2 worker. I was working at Denny's.
Okay, see, I know
Yeah.
something.
So I was W-2 worker working at Denny's, but it allowed me the flexibility to where I was getting tips and stuff, so I'm only working 4 or 5 hours, but I'm able to maintain my lifestyle, so I can go in and start off as far as my hustle, as far as bird dogging and door knocking and driving for dollars and stuff like that. So that allowed me the flexibility to where I can, I didn't have like an 8-hour work schedule where I'm burnt out from work and still have to put in that work. So, working 4 or 5 hours at Denny's, but still being able to maintain as far as, paying my bills and overhead and stuff like
Right. Okay. That's deep. So basically, you started by being hands on and
that. Yeah.
getting your hands dirty, as opposed to, a lot of us newer people and other people just sitting behind a computer. You was out there in the street knocking on doors and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Most definitely.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's what's up. All right. So I'm gonna spin it to Ambrose, and let him ask you a couple things.
What's up, Sonny? How you doing today?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
Man, been a busy day, but productive. I'd rather have
Yes.
this day, blessed to be alive. So, for my first question, right? What book are you currently reading?
So Never Split the Difference,
Oh yeah,
by Chris Voss.
Yeah.
So
I recommend it.
yeah, so I'm reading that and actually getting, because I already was listening to a podcast by a group of probate investors, All the Leads. So that was a book that they recommended. I bought it a while ago, so now I'm like diving into it.
Nice, nice. So I know you say how many podcasts do you listen to, or you just
So I started out listening to a lot. So I was Maxwell, Wholesaling Inc., All the Leads, Wholesale Hotline, John Martinez with the Midwest Group. I was listening to it, just trying to get as much information as possible.
all right? Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, we definitely listen to Wholesale Hotline as well. Being a newbie, it's just it's like a open book.
Yeah.
Take so many things from it. So it's definitely nice. So my next question is, I know you go to the gym a lot. What is your daily routine? What do you do first thing you get up in the morning to when you go to bed?
So my alarm goes off at 5:30. Um, so one of the things I tricked myself into doing is I put my phone in the living room. So when the alarm goes off, I have to get up. So and that kind of cheats you out of like, man, if it's in bed, you kind of hit the snooze, roll over, but it's like, I'm already on my feet, so I might as well get moving. So 5:30 alarm goes off, workout for about an hour, then jump into a book, do some reading, get my breakfast, shower, and sometimes either it depends, because usually I'll usually jump on the phones around 9:30 or 10. So sometimes I may take a nap, but if not, sometimes I'll get some personal stuff done and some deals or some stuff like that done before I actually start doing my marketing.
That is that is very interesting. I really didn't. Now I know because some people once they wake up in the morning, the first thing they do is jump on the phone. You
Yeah,
know, so
yeah,
having your phone in the living room, so it definitely get up. They go turn off the alarm.
yeah,
And for any newbie out there that's very listening, you see, he have a set schedule that he gets up in the morning. First thing he do is work out, make sure your body is right, and
yeah.
then read book, make sure your mind is right as well, and then breakfast as well. So, but I'm gonna pass the next question to Earl.
Okay.
All right. So you guys hear my wife's very creative alarm clock in the back. You know what they say about happy wife, happy life.
Yeah,
I hear to that. Um, so in that context, I think a lot of us got into wholesaling, real estate in general, because of the lifestyle it could afford. Um,
hmm
so there was always that beginning. Um, Walk us through your first deal, man. What did that look like?
So my first deal was actually, so it was kind of like in tandem. So one of my first deals I actually kind of got locked up was the deal that I referred to a realtor. He sent me, so basically we worked it out where I met him at a networking event, and he would send me leads and I would cold call him. And basically the gist of it was, being that he's a broker, if I, find a lead that wants to get listed, I'll refer it to him. But if, of course, if I can lock it up for a wholesale deal, I would work it myself. So I end up, about the first or second list he sent me, we locked something up. But being that we had to get the tenant evicted, it took 7 extra months before I actually, realized any money from it. But One of the first deals, a wholesale deal that I actually did, was a deal that I was following up with for about 18 months. It was a family in Los Angeles. And basically I used to call him and he would tell me like, my grandmother's ailing and, we do want to sell the property, but, right now we're just trying to, work through that situation. So I would just call him. First, I would call him every month. Then it got to like every 3 months and stuff like that. And then I want to say probably 9 months into it, he told me like, you're the only one that's still calling me. So whatever we do at the property deal is yours. So, that was just from, he was so used to hearing from me. Hey, Sonny, what's going on, man? We're not ready yet, but you're the only one that's following up. So, whatever we do with the property, that you definitely have the deal. So, around March, his, they decided they were ready. But the thing was his uncle lived around the corner. So it was one property on 126 out here in LA and the other one was on 139th. And he was like, things have kind of changed, but you still have the deal. So basically the uncle that lived around the corner wanted to get the house that I've been calling him about, but he was like, they still want to sell their property. So you can work that property. So I end up working with some guys that I actually met off social media. So I used to post, me doing bandit signs and door knocking and stuff like that. And one of the investors out here actually reached out to me. We went to a lunch and met each other and stuff like that. So I end up reaching out to them and, basically it actually helped me in terms of I was able to see the process. So as opposed to just doing a regular flat wholesale, we worked with the family where basically now that I know it's called an ovation. Before I did it, but before it was initially, we worked with the family where, we fixed the property up and then sold it on the back end. So we didn't close on the front end. So on the front end, we gave them some money so they could move to the new property, but we rehabbed the property during and then sold it on the back end. But I got my fee up front, but that's how that deal worked out. So it was just, my first deal was actually a creative deal.
Creative. Yeah.
So here's the crazy part. Normally I would kick it over to Kivo, but you left so much meat on that bone. I got to because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to deliver some value for folks.
Yes, sir.
So the first thing I want to unpack is that you had a deal that took how many months to close?
So the probate deal was about 7-8 months, but this deal I had to follow up with for about 18 months. So none of them was like I called and closed the deal.
Okay. And so that goes to the heart of what we talk about. Number one, this is not a transactional business, but this is a business about relationships.
Yeah, most definitely.
Huge. And in having a relationship, we're not chasing the dollar. We're trying to solve problems.
Yeah.
So innovation is something that I heard you use that term, and I don't think many of us are familiar with the term. So if you could unpack that a little bit for us, that would be mind blowing.
So an ovation agreement is something that really all investors really should use. So basically an ovation agreement is where you have a situation where you're prospecting a property. You do your evaluation in terms of what you can pay for it, what the rehab would be. On the back end, you're looking at the listing fees and stuff like that. So originally, the family wanted, I think, about 300,000. But if we were to buy it conventionally, as far as a wholesale deal, we can only offer them about 250, 240. But being that, we offer them an ovation agreement where basically is you open up escrow so you can take over a title in terms of if you're getting a hard money loan or something like that, you can actually reach out to the lender and show them like, hey, I do have equitable interest in this property. This is a deal that I've locked up and stuff like that. But you don't close on it. So for one, it saves investors money because you're not closing on a deal twice where, you're closing on it because you're raising funds to buy the property and then you're closing on it again once you sell it. So initially you only have to, raise the funds to rehab the property, which is a drastic change in terms of the monthly payments that you're paying on hard money. So if I have to raise $300,000 or $250,000 to buy the property, plus closing costs, plus the fees that you pay to a hard money lender on top of the rehab money, that's about, $350,000 that I have to raise and pay monthly fees on, as opposed to, an ovation where I'm just paying, because we gave them some upfront money to move out the property, but $20,000 to move out, and then the $50,000 that we use to rehab the property, $70,000 essentially, where you're paying, the interest only payments on a hard money payment, as opposed to $350,000 that you have to pay monthly payments on, is drastically different, because you're paying 8% or 12% on 300,000 as opposed to 8% or 12% on 70,000. Like, that's a way better operating way to do business. And then on top of that, you're only closing it once. So, you're only paying one set of closing costs. And, it just, the whole thing makes more sense.
Dope. You just dropped a lot of knowledge. Appreciate that. Let me kick it
And
over.
then on top of that, on both sides, for investors and, wholesalers, that's a way for you can offer family. Like I said, we offer them $30,000 more dollars. Additionally, it's usually more like $10,000 more dollars, but you can offer family about $10,000 more dollars, because you're saving me money, as in terms of the whole, the investor. You're saving me money where I don't have to raise that capital, where I can give you some more money on the back end if you can be a little more patient.
Love it. Love it. All right, Kivo.
Yeah, Sonny, that was deep. First thing I want to acknowledge and let out there is basically the fortune is in the follow-up here.
Yeah.
And that's something that we've been working towards doing better at. And for me, I'm a visual person. So like I showed you in the beginning, I had to put everything on our war board back here so that I can see what I need to follow up in, because there's money on that board.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly
sure.
what it is, but it's
Yeah.
there. And
Yeah.
like with you, it may be 7 months, it may be 18 months down the line, but
Mhm.
I need to collect that.
Yeah.
My wife and kids need to eat 18 months down the line. So
Yeah.
we need that.
Yeah. Most definitely.
So yeah, that's beautiful. And I want to give you a grand applause for just the creativeness early on with you getting in the game. That's
Yeah.
deep. New Yorkers and fellow Los Angeles people are alike in our tenacity and our aggression and just lack of fear. So when you start saying that, I'm saying right away, like, I'll try that. Like right away, like we like that, and so that's great, and it's just beautiful to see you and us coming in and being able to again get a part of this real life monopoly and apply those skills and tactics that we know to this right here. So I just wanted to ask you, move forward, like right now, present day. Obviously, we were hit with something different, COVID-19. So how did that affect you when COVID hit? How did that affect your business?
So honestly, being that my history is, I did 10 years in prison when I was 18 years old. So a lot of, like, I had a coach and we were talking about it, like most of my deals got going during COVID. So like, being that I come from that environment, it's like, that's kind of like where I thrive, like under duress in situations where, like, because that's kind of like, where I made myself is in prison. Like, I kind of learned more about myself. I was able to grow and mature as an adult. So to me, adversity is like, it's regular. Like if I'm not in the storm, like I don't really look at them like storms, but if I'm not in something, it's like, I'm not really doing something right, because I'm not really pushing myself to the edge of my capacity.
Wow, that's deep. And it's ironic that you did 10 years. A lot of our fan base don't know, but my two partners do. I did 9 years, 7 months straight here in New York State prison system. And you're right, that adversity just it seemed like we're used to working under that pressure, and we perform under that pressure, under that duress. It's ironic. But to also have that mindset that I need to move forward, that light is at the end of this tunnel. So, I commend you on that. And that's something that I hold near and dear to me. So yeah, all that good stuff being said, let me pass it to Ambrose.
Sonny. So my next question, right? And this is a scenario. So for our newbie who has $1,000, right?
Mhm.
And basically wants to get a deal, but don't really know how to go about it. Is there any tactic or strategy that you can give them to implement to get a deal with just the 1K?
Um, so honestly, what I would suggest is I'm it really depends on a personality type. So I'm the type that kind of, I want to get out and get after it. So like um the cheapest way for me to get a deal is door knocking. And being that Zillow has, so a lot of people don't know the feature about Zillow where you can look up pre-foreclosures and it's free. You don't have to do anything. You can just type in the zip code, look up pre-foreclosures and start door knocking them. So that's a way for you to actually reach out to actual, because you're not actually just driving for dollars and looking at ugly houses. You're driving for dollars and looking at properties that actually homeowners actually have pain.
Right.
So being that they actually have a real pain, you're more inclined. It's not that you're actually, going to get the deal, but you're more inclined to get a deal because if someone's in an ugly house, they've been in an ugly house. So it's not particularly that they're looking to sell the property, but someone's in pre-foreclosure, they actually have a gun to the head in terms of there's going to be some sort of action, whether now or later. So, being that the more properties that you can reach with pain, the more likely you are. So, with that $1,000, you get on Zillow for free, reach out to the homeowners, get Deal Machine. I use Deal Machine. They have batch leads, so it's different sort of apps that you can use. So I was using Deal Machine to where, when I'm going to someone's door, I'll, type in their address, and then when I'm knocking on the door, I know their name. So it's more personal off the bat. Like, hey, Kevo, how you doing? And the script I was using was, hey, Kevo, my name's Sonny. I work with the team of investors and we help families on a pre-foreclosure. So automatically they're their guard is down as opposed to, hey, you're looking for offering your property, as opposed to, I'm coming out, reaching out my hand, like, how can I help you guys? So it's like their guard automatically is down. And I actually seen it when I went with one of my partners. We went door knocking. That was the first time I used a script in front of him. He was like, because before we were using just, can you take offer on your property? And we started using that, and you can see the whole total shift in someone's demeanor. It's like, okay, first off, you let me know that the property is in pre-foreclosure, so I can't lie. Two, you're not coming like being a jerk about it. So it's like, let me hear what he's talking about. So, we use Deal Machine, where you can find property owners, and then from there you want to keep following it up. So whether you come door knock them again a month later, or you skip trace them. I use Lead Sherpa to skip trace properties. So skip trace them and get on the phone and call them. So it's like you're letting them know.
Did everybody freeze up? Hey, that's technology for you. Let me see.
Business.
Exactly.
What list are you mostly finding success in right now?
So I focus I focus on pre-foreclosures and probate. So pre-foreclosures and probate, being that probate, 75% of families that inherit properties sell them within the first 90 days. And pre-foreclosures is, this is, even if they get a loan modification, this is a situation when you're in a situation to where your finances aren't, properly maintained, or some sort of life circumstance happens. So, eventually they're gonna have to sell the property, whether you help them list it or they sell it at a wholesale price. So it's essentially, I like dealing with properties that have pain. Of course, I still door knock ugly houses and we'll call ugly houses, but those two lists produce the most from your efforts.
Definitely motivation in the pain, like you said.
Exactly. Most definitely.
Yeah. So I'm gonna pass the question back to Earl.
Okay.
Right. So Sonny, I appreciate it, how you were kind of walking people through your methodology. And the one thing I will encourage every newbie person is there's a lot of different strategies. Focus on one.
Yeah,
Be good at it.
exactly. Exactly.
Because if you try to do every strategy out there, my brother Keeble calls it the shiny object syndrome.
Exactly.
Okay, probate is dope.
Yeah.
Foreclosure is dope.
Yeah.
Vacant property is dope.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of strategies. Find one strategy initially and then get
Exactly.
good at it.
Exactly.
So I wasn't going to ask about this, but you kind of opened the door for me. And so for a newbie, we know that data is king. So they're going to invest in systems that's going to give them the best data. What would your top 5 resources be?
So now I use batch driven. So I like Deal Machine and I like batch driven are both awesome in terms of if you're door knocking and out in the field because you can virtually drive for dollars as well. And then once I get that data, I use Lead Sherpa in terms of skip tracing. It's 15 cents a lead. You can single skip or you can skip a list. I use prop streams in terms of, when I'm comping properties or if I'm pulling lists. And those are really the main systems. Oh, and I use Podio because Podio is free. So before I was actually using Google Sheets as my CRM, where I would just basically put in a lead as far as the information. And before I was sophisticated, in terms of using Podio, I'll just put in a lead and then I'll put in Podio, a reminder in Podio to call them. So that's what just like my CRM system. But now that I got that I've actually learned Podio, I use Podio and it's still free up to 500 leads. So, you can use them as task setters and stuff so you can be reminded. So you don't have to worry about, like, oh, should I call them back this week? And you can just set a task, automatically remind you so you can, start to systemize your business.
Systems, love it. List systems. All right, great. Hey, I'm gonna kick it over to Kiva.
So
All right, Sonny, I think I looked at the time, so I know we're gonna be closing up here soon. Again, I want to thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. So I just want to talk about something we're learning in as a group and something we've been had, but it's just being reinforced by bigger people in the game. Is that you you spoke on it, but you didn't really say it. Is this abundance mindset because you
Yeah.
JV'd with people in your first few deals? So just just basically just give us that what your mindset as far as like working with people and how you feel about that.
I feel it's imperative in some instances because now I'm virtual a lot because I do a lot of creative deals. So I'm in multiple markets. So it's like if I'm not JVing with someone, then that can be my deal because obviously I don't know everything about the market. Obviously, I can't learn everything about the market in like a 2-day sort of situation. So it's like JVing with people allows you to expedite a lot of things. Like in terms of that first deal, I didn't know what an ovation agreement was. They brought that to the family so they can get the deal closed because I brought another investor to the family the day before and he was just talking about just wholesaling the property, but it's like we wouldn't be able to make that work in terms of what they were looking for. So I brought these other investors and they brought basically an ovation agreement. So it's like, that allowed me to not only get a proof of concept because like, okay, my deal actually closed as opposed to getting something under contract, and expiring and you blowing that deal, you blowing that relationship. So it's like, it expedites everything. So like, even like I'm in Pace Mortgage mentorship where we do sub-2 deals. So even when I first got in that program, some of the people in our accountability group, I got him on the phone with some of my sellers because I didn't know what sub-2 was when I first joined the program. So getting him on the phone with my seller and hearing him talk to him, hear how he handles objections and stuff like that, it just elevates you because you're not losing anything by JVing. Like whoever lost anything over making money. So it's not like, just because I didn't make $50,000 on that deal, why wouldn't, are you going to complain about making 25? So it's like,
Right on. Listen, we ran into that today. We ran into that objection today with another wholesaler He
Yeah.
wanted to make 30K or something, and we're like, listen, anything beats a zero. Like,
Yeah.
just make money and move on and work together and just have this abundance mindset. So that's
Exactly.
you think of it on multiple different levels, and that's something that I truly want to, pass on to everybody and show that everybody that we deal with has that mindset, and that's why they're doing deals and making
Yeah.
money and having the freedom of time and all that stuff. That is very important. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I mean, one also thing I wanted to put on that as well is just that um the reason I'm able to have an abundant mindset is because this is my business. I'm not going anywhere. So someone who has a scarcity mindset is like, oh my God, this is my last deal I ever do, sort of thing. So it's like with me,
Right.
it's like I know I'm getting more deals. It's not a question of me getting more deals. I'm getting more deals. So it's like I can be abundant in that because it's like, oh, okay, I didn't make a killing on this deal, but I know there are more deals in the pipeline because I'm actively creating.
Yep. Absolutely. Well said. Well said.
Yeah, man. So, Sonny, for my last question, how can people reach you on social media?
Can I put my information in chat or do you guys post it or so you can
Yep.
okay. So my Facebook I'm putting in the chat. My Instagram I'm putting in the chat and as well as my email and cell phone number.
So yeah, when I broadcast it out with our social media platforms, I will have all of that in subtext. Um,
Okay.
that's great. And
Okay.
this is my final question. And I posted a Facebook Live on this not that long ago on the value of mentorship.
Mhm.
And so, I have, a couple things that I do when I decided to get out of the E quadrant. And it was a big deal. But what I don't think, because I do a couple, videos on financial IQ and, making sure that you're not a W-2 employee because you're taxed at
Yeah.
a different level. And, how, all of these things, impact you. It's not how much money you make, it's how you make your money. So I say all of that to say mentorship is such a big deal. Can you speak about that for a moment?
So right when I got into wholesaling, I signed up for Jay Morrison Academy. So that's how I even learned what wholesaling was. So I've always done mentorship. So Jay Morrison Academy was the reason that I got in wholesaling. I signed up with Easy Funding with Will Roundtree. So he helped me establish my LLC, get business funding. Um, right now, I'm in Pace Mortgage Group, so that allowed me to expand not my knowledge in terms of not just doing wholesaling, but buying deals sub two. And it's a cheat code in terms of I get to keep some of those properties just based on I'm creating the terms, so it's not like I'm having to come up with 100,000. Some of these deals, the owners are in such dire situations. We're like, man, just take over the property. I don't want anything, so I get the property for free. So it's like, you know, mentorship helps you just, I mean, I joined Recession Proof with Marcus Barney in terms of credit building and, starting credit. So it's like with me, mentorship just accelerates you above the pack because it's like while someone's pounding your head or, in the sand in terms of, just sending text or something like that, I know of different avenues and different ways to be effective because I'm up under the people that are actually, gaining in doing excellent business.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, listen, folks out on YouTube and Facebook world, hey, if you got any value out of our brother from California in that last installment, definitely give us a like, give us a share. Let us know that you care about the content that we're putting out. And Sonny, I think I speak for everybody that's affiliated with us. We're looking forward to potentially JVing with you in the near future
Most
and
definitely.
transacting.
Most definitely.
We're excited.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Thanks
Okay.
for having me on, fellas.
All right. So if you could close us out, Ambrose.
Hey, Sonny, appreciate your time. I really, really do appreciate it. Folks, We are revitalizing the community one house at a time. Sorry, my accent is off. So
You're getting better at it, brother. I love it. All right, real housing relief,
yes,
revitalizing the community.
more property at a time.
Property at a time.
Yes, that's
All
it.
right, Seti, we'll talk soon.
All right,
Take care, brothers.
brother.
All right.